Bienvenidos a So Violento So Macabro Podcast. Yo soy Ali.
Y yo soy Dee.
Y hoy Dee nos contará de un caso que sucedió en Lewisville, Texas. Advertencia: la información de este caso puede ser desencadenante para algunos. Tengan en cuenta que algunos de estos casos pueden involucrar menores de edad, abuso, violación o violencia. Escuchen con precaución.
Warning: the information on this case can be triggering to some. Please be advised that some of these cases may involve children, abuse, rape, and violence. Listen with caution.
In 2010, a shocking act of violence shattered the quiet community of Lewisville, Texas, when jealousy and obsession drove someone to commit a crime of passion. 14 years later, the murderer remains on the run, leaving a family's desperation for justice. Join us as we unravel the disturbing details of this horrific crime, a relentless search for the killer who vanished in thin air. This is the tragic murderer of Maria Santos Corona. On April 26, 2010, the Lewisville, Texas Police Department received a call from Jeremiah Gonzalez, a mailman that had came across a body in the middle of the street. In the frantic 911 call, Jeremiah explains that he came across a body while delivering mail to the home. He told the officers that he couldn't depict what was going on, but he had heard a chainsaw running in the back of an excavation truck while another chainsaw somehow surrounded the home. Jeremiah told the dispatcher, quote, "He was next to the car. He was next to the vehicle, and he was running a chainsaw. This chainsaw is still running in the back of the vehicle, but I do not see him." He told authorities that he saw a man on the scene, and when he found the body, he couldn't locate him anymore. The most shocking part of this discovery was that the body was decapitated, which means there was blood all over the scene. During the phone call, he was trying to explain to the operator that the scene looked like... During the phone call, he was trying to explain to the operator what was in the scene and how he came across the body when he heard a horrifying scream at a distance. Carla Corona and her husband, Freddie Arellano, arrived to the home, and you can hear Carla running towards the scene, yelling, "That's my mom. That's my mom." The Corona family lived in Lewisville, Texas, a small suburban area with relatively low crime rate, and it's mostly known as a family community. It's around 50 miles away from Dallas, Texas, so it's very secluded. It's not near the city, so for the most part, it's very quiet and very just surrounded by other families. The family included 49-year-old Jose Fernando Corona, his 44-year-old wife, Maria Santos Corona, their daughter Carla Corona, her husband Freddie Arellano, and their child. This also included Jose and Maria's other 5 children. They all shared this one-story home, so they all kind of lived together in this house. It was a pretty big house, so it was comfortably set for all of them. According to Lewisville Police Captain Kevin Diver, Jose had no prior criminal history. However, family, friends, and other people around the neighborhood knew that the couple was experiencing just marital issues. And it was mostly due to the fact that Jose believed that Maria was having an affair. For years, Jose accused Maria of cheating on him, and family and friends didn't know how to help in the situation, regardless of how many times Maria and the rest of the family and the rest of the friends assured him that she was cheating on him. He just didn't believe it. Despite his suspicions, authorities never found any sort of evidence that Maria was being unfaithful towards their marriage. In 2005, at their daughter's quinceañera, after years of being sober, Jose became intoxicated to the point that he publicly accused Maria of cheating on him with a family friend, causing the biggest scene during the celebration. Following the incident, he apologized profusely to Viviana, the daughter that was turning 15 that day, and the rest of the family. Viviana had warned her father that if he ever drank again, she would never speak to him again. Everything began to settle down within the household. However, Jose persisted that Maria was cheating on him. This all happened in 2009, which is a year prior to the incident. He had confronted again Maria with accusations of her cheating on him. He began to grow possessive, and it eventually led to a mental breakdown. And he couldn't break down the feeling that Maria was cheating on him. During this period, Jose sought out the help of a curandera, hoping to confirm his suspicions. It's unclear when Jose began consulting with the curandera. They just know it happened around 2009. Authorities reported that Freddie, Carla's husband, had recalled that Jose claimed that this curandera had told him that Maria was cheating on him. Evidence collected from the crime scene showed that he had various potions and spell work and tarot cards, as well as books and just herbs and everything to get rid of the evil spirits that were in their home that was causing this turmoil in the marriage. Despite his efforts, the couple continued to face significant issues within the marriage. So even though he tried his best with this curandera and tried to warn off evil spirits, the marriage was just not doing well. They kept fighting and arguing, and it just wasn't a marriage. He just kept fighting for it, but it was already done. On the night before the murder, Maria's son noticed Jose revving one of the power tools in the back. He couldn't distinguish what it was, but he just knows that it was power tools in the backyard. This was around midnight, so he found it odd to be revving up any power tools that late of a night. But again, it was really late, so he just decided to go back to bed. And they just kind of didn't think much.
¿Quién va a pensar, right? Que algo iba a hacer el señor.
Exactly. Everybody just assumed that, something was he was doing something in the backyard, but they didn't know what he was doing. On the afternoon of April 26th, Carla and Freddie began to get ready to leave the house in order to go pick up their daughter from school. Right before they left, Carla recalls that her father actually slipped some money into her pocket and told her to pick up some lunch after picking up their daughter, just to buy some alone time with Maria. They just assumed that he was trying to patch things up with her and really didn't pay much attention to what his intentions were. At around 11 a.m., Maria was on the phone with one of her friends, and Jose was in the backyard working with some power tools. During this call, Maria's friend could hear loud noises in the background. This friend remembers that Maria mentioned saying, quote, "I think Jose's out in the yard making noise with some sort of lawn equipment." And shortly after she said that, she said, "I'll call you later," and ended the phone call in order to see what was the commotion about. According to forensic reports, there was blood splatter on the front of the home. There was none inside the house, so there was evidence that the crime actually happened at the front door. Detectives believe that Maria followed the sound of the chainsaws to the front of the yard and ended the call. As she opened the door, the investigators assumed that Jose attacked her from behind with a chainsaw, mutilating her on contact.
Oh my God.
I know. Lewisville Police Captain Kevin Deaver said, quote, Witness in the neighborhood did hear the chainsaw running, but they all just heard it and assumed that somebody was, doing lawn work, which seemed normal. However, they had no idea of the extremely gruesome scene, and the method of the death was brutal.
Pues sí, no le dio ni tiempo de, como lo describen ellos, no le dio tiempo ni de gritar a ella.
No. Everything was like so quick and so like without even processing it that they all just thought somebody was doing lawn work. There was no screaming, no like asking for help. Everything was just
happened so
quickly that nobody had a chance to, react. Neighbors said that they only heard this chainsaw and assumed that the yard was going on. It's just a common sound around the area, so they didn't think much about it. They didn't hear a scream or any signs of struggle, leaving them unaware of the brutal murder that was happening just feet away. Detectives inferred from this that Maria likely didn't realize she was in danger at the moment of her death. Freddie Arellano, Carla's husband, told authorities that Jose had called him minutes earlier saying, quote, I did it. I killed her, and I'm going to drag her body next door. Yeah. Detectives later discovered that Jose intended to leave Maria's body in their neighbor's yard, believing that she was having an affair with him. So it was kind of his way of like revenge towards her and the neighbor he assumed was having an affair with his wife. When Jose saw Jeremiah approaching to the home, he quickly tried to hide from view. Jeremiah, upon discovering Maria's mutilated body, immediately called 911 to report the crime. Within moments of being seen by Jeremiah, Jose fled the scene in the second family car. Minutes later, Carla and Freddie arrived, only to discover the mutilated body in the front yard. Police quickly arrived and cordoned off the area and began to investigate, interviewing everybody involved. Based on witnesses' testimony and the evidence within the scene, it was clear that Jose had committed the murder. Detectives also curated to see any sort of suggestions on why he would kill his wife. However, nothing came about the interviews. They just know that it was because of his assumptions of cheating, but there was no real motive or any real concrete evidence on why he went ahead and did it. An arrest was issued for 49-year-old Jose Fernando Corona, charging him with the murder of his wife. The Tarrant County Medical Examiner released an autopsy report confirming the cause of death was, quote, multiple blunt, sharp forces with a chainsaw, injuring due to assault by another person. However, it also declared that Maria was still alive when she was decapitated. At the time of the murder, Jose was last seen driving a 2005 Toyota Sequoia with Texas license plates. Police later reported that he went to a local Walmart where he bought clothes and withdrew money from the ATM. A few days after the murder, detectives obtained surveillance footage of him showing him purchasing these items from the Walmart. They also located the SUV, which contained a plastic bag with bloody clothes, and they ended up fingerprinting and taking DNA samples from the vehicle, confirming that the blood belonged to Maria. In the surveillance footage, detectives also identified an unknown individual picking up Jose from the Walmart and driving him to a car dealership. There is where Jose convinced an employee to let him take a car for a test drive, leaving his license as a collateral, kind of saying, like, I'm going to drop this off
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be back.
Right.
But he never came back. The vehicle that he left on was a gold-colored 1991 Ford Ranger pickup truck. He was captured driving out of the dealership parking lot and never returned. Detectives believe that Jose had connections with family members in various parts of Texas, as well as in Oklahoma, Washington, and in Mexico. It is suspected that he crossed the Mexican border by foot, since there was no actual video of him crossing the border with the vehicle. However, after he crossed the border in Laredo, Texas, there was no trace of Jose after that.
Wow.
The family suspect that Jose's relatives may be the ones that are helping him hide in Mexico. It's now been 14 years since the horrific murder of Maria Santos Corona, and her family still has no information on his whereabouts. Maria's loved ones deserve justice. It's heartbreaking to think that the person who was meant to love you for the rest of your life was the one who took it away. Our thoughts go out to Maria's family, her friends, and we sincerely hope that you receive the answers that you desperately need.
Yeah.
As of today, Jose would be 63 years old, and on the day of Maria's murder, he was 49. He is a Hispanic male standing at 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighing between 165 to 175 pounds. And at the crime, he had a noticeable, recognized and pronounced mustache on his face. But other than that, there is no specific
Nothing
mark
else
on
como
him.
tatuajes, nada de
Yeah,
eso.
he didn't have anything
Nothing.
that will like make him very
Distinguish
recognizable.
him from others.
Just
Yeah.
yeah. Anyone with information about Jose Fernando Corona is urged to call the Lewisville Police office at 972-219-3540 or the Denton County Crime Stoppers at 1-800-388-TIPS. That's 1-800-388-8477. Tipsters can remain anonymous and are eligible for cash rewards. So again, if you have any information that is helpful in the case to finding Jose or finding his whereabouts, it would be greatly appreciated. And this is the tragic case of Maria Santos Corona.
I don't understand how a human being can plan something so horrific and terrible like that. That's something I can't understand how he's living with this guilt.
And that was the case for this week. I know there isn't a lot of details in it, but there's really nothing to base the rest of the information, because they have no information. But again, if you or anybody that you know has seen Jose or knows any information or any tips on where he might be or where they can be located, please submit any sort of tips or suggestions at the numbers that will be in our description below.
Es algo que no puedo entender, como si la familia lo está escondiendo, el corazón que tienen de esconderlo, sabiendo lo que hizo.
100%.
That's concerning, scary. Like, it's just, how can they do this?
And it's one of those things that you're just like, I'm pretty sure you knew his wife, you interacted with her, and you are willing to hide, him in order to like prevent him from going to jail. But yet he murdered this person. He murdered, the the mother of
manera
your
que lo hizo.
nephew or
Yeah.
your grandkids or whoever,
Your niece,
your
yeah.
niece,
It's
yeah,
just,
nephew, and it's like they are part of your family. Why don't
yeah.
you, turn him in and,
Mhm.
let justice be served for somebody that tragically died over assumptions.
Yeah, es familia.
Mhm.
I get it. But ¿cómo puedes confiar en él?
Yeah. If
Si
he
le hizo
chooses
eso,
to, yeah,
it's like, ¿cómo puedes tener a esa persona en tu casa?
yeah,
Like, no,
like he
no.
murdered somebody.
Yeah, he's
He,
family, but no.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, if this is how he acts with his own wife, who he
right.
assumed had, an affair and was never like proven that he did commit this, how do you trust this person? Like, they can easily turn on you too.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea.
No le importó lastimar a sus hijos.
Not one bit.
No le importó quitarle la madre a sus hijos. What makes you think
That he
he's
won't
not
do it
gonna
to
lash
you.
out
Yeah.
on you? That's scary. It's frightening.
Oh,
I
100%.
don't get it.
It's one of those things that you're just like, these people, especially their thought process, they can switch on you too. Just because they haven't doesn't mean they can't. And the older that he gets, the more I'm just like, why can't you just let him go to jail? Like he doesn't deserve to be free and to maybe possibly do this to somebody else.
I don't know si encontraste algo, porque me puse a pensar, a lo mejor ni está con su familia, but he could be anywhere at this point.
Yeah, he
But
can
did you
definitely be
find
anywhere.
anything like on his family? Like, los han entrevistado? They asked anything?
No.
No.
They according to, at least from what I read, they haven't reached out to his family, just because there's no like concrete evidence where he's at. As of now, I know for sure they're leading to the possibility that he is in Mexico, because they did cover the basis of him being in Texas or in other states.
Right.
But they do think that he's in Mexico because of where he was traveling from, like leaving the home to the dealership.
Like the path that he was taking. Yeah.
So they automatically assume that he crossed the border. Even though there's no footage of him crossing the border, they assume that he did.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just a traumatic scene. Like, imagine Jeremiah as a mailman just dropping off
doing
the
his
mail,
job.
doing his job, y ver, just seeing the body and the daughter getting there and seeing her mother that way. That's heartbreaking.
That is just heartbreaking. One of those things that you're just like, how is that even possible? Like, why? Like, just the thought of it just gives me chills. It's like, it's something straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah, ni lo quiero
and something that's like, that you wouldn't think that just a regular human being can be capable of.
Yeah.
And like for me, it's like, this was so intentional. This wasn't such like something that happened out of like the blue. Like, he had a plan. He had, thought about this through. At any of those points, he could have changed his mind, but he didn't. It was all intentional. And the fact that he used two different weapons, because let me remind you, he used one to like kill her, and the second weapon was in the vehicle, in the truck. So he used two weapons to like lure her out of the home and kill her outside of the home. So it just shows that he didn't just do it because he was angry or upset or anything. He did it purposely. He thought about this.
Planeado.
Yeah. But
pobrecita Maria.
Yeah.
That's as you're describing it. It's just so horrific.
I know. It's one of those things that I can never fathom or think. Like, these were all assumptions. There was no concrete evidence of her committing any sort of like, infidelity. And
déjala.
Yeah.
Te está engañando, déjala.
Yeah.
Why murder someone? No, that's
like, but like for me, it's what I don't get out of my head is that you're assuming that she
Right.
had an affair. You went to these long distance to like prove that she was having an affair, but even her herself like told you she wasn't, and you still didn't believe her. So it's like anything that she did, you still wouldn't believe her because you would believe your own assumptions and a curandera instead of like your wife. And even if she did, it's like, this is not something somebody deserves.
Mm-mm.
You know. But again, if you have any information on this case, we will have the phone numbers in the description below, as well as in the description of the podcast episode. And I think that's about it. If you need any information, again, we can DM you the information. We pretty much always have it in one of our files, so it's very easily accessible. So yeah, everything will be in the description below. If you want to talk to us or talk to each other about this case or any of our other 123 episodes, you can just, leave a comment in our social media platforms. We have Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, or as it's known now as X. Just type in @SVSM_podcast, or you can follow us on Facebook. Just type in Sacudió podcast. We also have a YouTube channel, so you can comment and have conversations in the comment section of this video. So if you want to do that, just type in Sacudió podcast, and you can see our beautiful faces. And if you want to listen to the rest of our 123 episodes, you can stream them all on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you stream podcasts. Again, just type in Sacudió podcast, and our catalog should be everywhere. And I think that's it, unless we have anything else.
Nope, that is it.
Yeah.
Ready for October.
Definitely. At the end of this month, which is September 30th, is National Podcast Day. So happy podcast day to you, our listeners, and as well as you, Ali, and us. And thank you. And anybody who creates audio content. So happy podcast day. And
balloons.
Yeah.
Balloons, fireworks.
And so still happy Hispanic Heritage Month to each and every one of you. Thank you for supporting Hispanic creators like us. And I think that's it.
Todo. Yeah. Todo.
October is literally next week, and I literally want to cry because it's my favorite month.
And it's muy rápido.
It's passing too fast. Haven't even had time to decorate the home.
No.
I'm tired.
Siempre hay planes, and then llega el día, and you're like, ugh, I don't want to.
I know. But starting October, we will start posting our Halloween costumes, which we are gonna shoot this weekend. So please keep us in your prayers because it's gonna be busy.
It's gonna be a busy day.
It's gonna be a busy day. But with that said, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for everything you do. And we'll see you guys next week.
Damos un abrazote.
For sure. Okay.
Adios. I was gonna say bye. That's
I know.
You.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Adios.
Stay spooky.
Quédate spooky. That's spooky. Okay, bye guys.
Spooky. Bye.